Greetings, ladies and gentlemen of the internet. Jan Michael here. You know, I absolutely love it when a series or a movie or a game comes out of nowhere. Like, it wasn't on your radar. Maybe you knew about its release, but you really didn't give it much thought other than, yeah, I'll probably check that out at some point. Only for then to it blow up, like everybody is just completely in love with it. They spread the word, it starts to gain traction, and before you know it, it ends up being a best of year contender. And I think the Summer Hikaru Died fits that into the anime scape very nicely. Like, I didn't know about the show prior to its release. I may have heard its name at some point, but I didn't really think anything of it. As the show started to gain traction, I started to kind of look more towards its way, but still not to the degree that I wanted to dive into it. And to be completely honest, I thought it was just like a straight up like drama or romance for the longest time. And as I found out it had a lot more horror and mystery elements, I started to get more intrigued until eventually I gave in and saw it. And now it's an anime of the year contender. What a journey the show has been on. So now that we're here, we need to ask the question, is it worthy of the nomination, or have we all just been possessed by something that is not as great as we originally thought it was? Well, let's go ahead and dive in to find out. When it comes to horror anime, background art is some of the most important aspects to a series, but it is often neglected or too overbearing. If the background is too oppressive, you may lose your sense of belief as you wonder, why the hell would anyone subject themselves to the horrors? Meanwhile, it being too lax can lose the tension that the show is going for. Now, obviously, there are examples of these styles being utilized in an effective manner, but I often find horror anime to be too overwhelming for my liking, as if the creators are just trying too hard to be spooky, scary, or dark. The Summer Hikaru Died does not have that problem. You understand why people still live in this village. It is a very beautiful town with some great sights. And the horror itself is an intruder into the world. It's not the world itself. A lot of these people don't even realize these things exist. And so that is where the unnervingness comes from. It's an everyday setting that we can all relate to. All of a sudden, things are different and they're jarring and you're not quite sure what to believe. And that is just freaking fantastic with how it sets up its setting, its environment, its background. I will say the show, especially towards the first few episodes, does get a little bit abstract with its art style, which I didn't think was necessary at first until you find out the nature of what these things are. And all of a sudden, it made sense. It clicked into place. And for that, I think the show is very smart in how it presents things. It doesn't just do it to be artistic or to be dark. There is purpose to the choices it makes. And for that, I think it's already on another level in terms of horror anime. There's no denying that director Ryohei Takeshita has done a masterful job of bringing the Summer Hikaru Died to life. Previously, the man had directed Jellyfish Can't Swim in the Night, which was nominated for Best Original Anime, so it's nice to see him take a step up and get the nomination along with the show. Here we have an anime that uses its atmosphere effectively. It creates something tense where you know something is wrong, but you can't fully put your finger on it. At the same time, it tells a coming-of-age story where loss and sexual identity are rooted throughout the series. It balances things very effectively where you understand character motivations and why certain decisions are made throughout. That being said, it's not perfect. I do have a couple of gripes with the overall structure of the show. First and foremost, I don't like the back and forth struggles that the protagonist goes through. There are moments where he's unsure of something, of what his relationship is with Hikaru, and there is that inner turmoil, which, yeah, perfect, works fantastically. Then all of a sudden, he's 100% sure about what it is, he's gonna be gung-ho, only for then we go to the episode, now he's reverted back to being unsure, and then the next episode, once again, he's 100% sure, and then he goes back to being unsure, and there's this whole flip-floppy thing that happens one too many times. It's like the same lesson being learned over and over again, and the things that happen that really shake his foundation, while yes, they're spooky, I don't think it should have been a little bit more impactful if it was going to completely break apart his confidence. So that kind of was a little bit tedious throughout the runtime. I'm not going to say completely derails the show. It's just something that I very much noticed. I wish it had happened like one less than it did. The second thing is the ending. It finishes off like on this really high note, like right when you're at the peak of like the emotions, and it doesn't really let you come down from that high. It's like, oh, right when everything spikes, the show just kind of ends. And there is a second season coming, so I'm very excited to see the continuation of it, but just kind of how it ends, it doesn't feel like it's an end cap, like we're missing an episode. And I really wish we had just given it one more episode to really kind of set up that, hey, this is not over, there's still a lot more mysteries to find out. Really let us know that there is more on the way, we just have to wait. Again, just my structure, if you've seen my Dan to Dan review, my structure to shows, I feel like it should make sense to somebody who is not avidly in the anime community, who's following it so closely. It should appeal to general audiences who aren't researching things, who aren't like you and I that really dive deep into every single episode. Otherwise, I feel they're going to get lost. They're going to think, oh, that's the end, and kind of miss out on a second season when it eventually does air. But those are my two main gripes. I don't really have many other problems other than that. It's just two things that really did stick out, and I wish they had worked on just a bit more. For those unaware, The Summer Hikaru Died centers on high schooler Yoshiki Tsuchinaka, whose best friend Hikaru Indo dies in the mountains only for his body to be taken over by some sort of entity that builds an attachment to Yoshiki. Instead of pushing away this creature, he decides that he'd rather still have his friend around, even though it's not really him. As the two grow closer, they start to unravel the mysteries of what exactly this creature is, all the recent supernatural events that begin to affect the village, and Yoshiki's feelings towards his now deceased friend and this thing that has taken his place. There's a lot that the show tackles, but it's never done so in any overwhelming or overbearing way. It's done in a way that's very believable to what high school kids probably do think about and how they process their emotions and their grief. I liked all the characters that surround these two. It's not just the central relationship between the two that feels believable, it's everybody in their inner circle. How they react to things, how they approach things. There's even a character where you think, oh, it's gonna be done this one way, only for it to like subvert expectations, and that character is kind of presented in a completely different way in how the character grows. I do wish we had a little bit more time with some of the surrounding characters. You do get a basic sense of who they are, and you do get to see some of their background, but you never really dive too deep into it. And I can understand part of it. The central focus is on these two characters, the relationship, how they grow closer to one another, and the mystery aspects of it. And for those of you who do want good, spooky, creepy vibes, there is that aplenty. There are scenes that are very unnerving. You're not sure how things are going to play out, and there is some very creepy imagery on display. So I think it's going to do well with people who are looking for a straight up drama and those who do want it to be more horror-like. It's going to appeal to these two groups very nicely. Full disclosure, I haven't seen The Summer Hikaru Died in English, so I can only go off of the few clips I did check out for this nomination. And from what I can tell, Paul Castro Jr. does do a good job. He has a unique voice that lends well to the playful nature of Hikaru. As that character is learning all about the world, you need a childlike innocence to the voice, while still obviously being a young man. And in that regard, I think he does what he's supposed to do. Now, once again, this is coming from somebody who has not seen the English dub, so whether the performance holds up, whether he's able to tackle the horror elements of it, I can only fathom a guess, but seeing as the voters did decide that he was fit to be part of the nomination circle here, I'm willing to guess there is some credibility to the whole performance and what he manages to do. But you let me know, guys, if you've seen the English dub, does it hold up well? Does it ever get annoying? Or is this exactly what the performance needed to be? Aw, well, this is cute. You got the English voice actor for Hikaru and the Japanese voice actor for Yoshiki nominated. And I can actually speak about Chiaki Kobayashi's performance. Quite honestly, I think this shows how the different cultures value different attributes about the individual performances. The English with its unique voice and handling of the character, and the Japanese with its gripping and emotional performance. Chiaki definitely has some tough scenes to perform in, especially in the latter half when his emotions are practically forced to the surface. The final interactions between the characters are fantastic, but it's Chiaki that steals the show, who lets it all bear out and delivers the rawest performance and tugs at the heartstrings. Actually, one thing I just found out about Chiaki and Shuichida Umeda, who is the Japanese voice actor for Hikaru, is that they actually had to learn the Mai dialect that is very prevalent in more rural areas of Japan. And a lot of the times they had to retake scenes over and over again just because the pitch wouldn't be just right. They wanted to get the performance to feel as authentic as possible. So, hey, that's some dedication and further proof about why this nomination is very much warranted. I sometimes use this section to talk about the negative aspects of the show or things I personally don't like, but apart from what I said about the ending and some of the repeated internal struggles of the protagonist, there's not really a lot I disliked about the show. Even things that aren't fully fleshed out, I can say it's almost likely just not fully fleshed out yet. There's more coming, and with how much needs to be explored in the first 12 episodes, I can understand not wanting to overload us with information. That being said, while a second season has been confirmed, no release date for when it's coming has been stated. In the event that the show just ends now and no continuation actually happens, that would be a serious blow to my rating of it, as it truly doesn't feel like it's over at all. But barring that, or let's say the second season just completely face plants, I'm confident saying this is a show you should be going out and watching. So does the Summer Hikaru Died stand a chance at taking home Anime of the Year? To me, I say no. I don't think the show is quite ready for that honor just yet. I think the nomination is 100% warranted. This is a great show that I hopefully will have many people who skipped out on it the first time around go back and check it out. But as of right now, because it just doesn't feel finished, there's far too many elements that still need to be resolved, I don't think we're quite there just yet. But depending on how the show ends, continues, whatever the case with the next season, I do see it eventually being a more serious contender. So I have my fingers crossed that this continues to just surprise, excite us, amaze us. Obviously, it won't have that same impact as that, oh, where did this show come from? Like, now we're ready for it. But that also means that there's expectations going to be high. So if they get met, yeah, I can see this truly being a more serious Anime of the Year contender in the future. Giving myself fully to it, I give the Summer Hikaru Died a 4 out of 5 with a recommendation to see it. Once the show is finished, and depending on how it ends, I can see the score easily going up to a 4.5. But for now, this is one that will possess you to keep watching. Check it out and see if you also end up bewitched. And ladies and gentlemen of the internet, that was my penultimate review. Just one more left. And it is quite a doozy of a one if you've seen that anime. So don't ditch me just yet. Come back tomorrow for that final one. Hope you've been liking these reviews. Like always, stay safe out there. And until tomorrow's video, have a good one.